contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
She's got the news. She talks with newsmakers. She encourages us to laugh, and she cries with us. Speaking truth to power and questioning authority daily, it's the Nicole Sandler Show.
It is a Tuesday, and depending on what countdown clock you're looking at, it's either 8 days until Joe Biden's inauguration, meaning the end of Donald Trump in the White House anyway, or the way I prefer to look at it is the countdown clocks that I've got at NicoleSandler.com. There's one on the Listen Live page. There's one on the main homepage. But basically, I'm counting down until 12:03 p.m. 1 week from tomorrow, because that's what time Joe Biden will take the oath, and it's done. And for that, we have 17 days, 19 hours, 4 minutes, and 51 seconds. So I know it's officially like 8 days, but it's 7 days, 19 hours, 4 minutes, 44 seconds, because there are some of us who are counting the seconds until this. There are no words strong enough. And you know I like to use words, strong words, but there are no strong words strong enough to describe the piece of shit that is Donald Trump. Maybe one day we need to just open up the phones for your best descriptors of Trump. We did that sort of near the beginning of this term. One day when Brit Summers was here, and we started reeling off some nicknames like Twitler and the Orange Menace and Cheetolini and things like that. And you guys were prolific. We had a whole long list of them. But fuckhead, shitface, asshole, things like that, because it helps. Dump. I never caught on. That was my thing right after he got elected. Remember, I was saying, well, the name is Donald Trump. Who wants to waste all those syllables? So do the contraction thing. D''UMP, right? I thought it was going to just take off, and it never did. And here we are, just about 4 years later, and it's fine. I'm good with never saying dump again, with never thinking of him, never hearing his voice. 7 days. Wait, let me pull it up. 7 days, 19 hours, 3 minutes, and 7 seconds. And now it's 5, 4, 3, 2. I could do this all day, but I won't, because it's not really exciting radio. Anyway, shit is real. There was, here we are, 6 days removed from the siege on the Capitol, the coup attempt by Trump's rabid cult followers to storm the Capitol. For what purpose? I mean, that's what I don't understand. And again, I listened to his incendiary words at that Stop the Steal rally in DC that kicked off the march to the Capitol building, when they went and, were looking to murder Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence. Really fine people on all sides. Yeah. Special. They're special people, and Donald Trump loves them. Yeah. So today, we've been waiting. There has not been an official press conference. There's been nothing, no word from the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security. Nothing, no official statement on the fact that the Capitol, U.S. Capitol, was breached, that 5 people were killed in the process, including one Capitol police officer who was beaten to death. Oh, and by the way, I got to say, yesterday I told you the story about the guy who we heard had who died of a heart attack after tasing himself in the balls. And it was during the show, somebody messaged me, and I'm sorry that I don't acknowledge it. Sometimes, I'm in here alone. I'm producer, host, engineer, chief cook and bottle washer. And so, and webmaster. And I do try to sometimes follow along in the chats when I'm on the air, but there's only, I miss some things. And somebody did message me during the show and say, no, Snopes debunked that claim. The claim that that the guy tased himself in the balls. Now, there's a bit of controversy about that because Snopes did say not true. They rated that story false. But there are people pushing back on it and saying it's absolutely true. How did Snopes debunk it? Well, they asked his wife, who is now his widow, did your husband really tase himself in the balls, causing his heart attack? What's she going to say? Yes, he was a dumbass. So she said no. And I like this one. Nate responded to my tweet, said more like he couldn't tase himself in the balls. He had none. Oh, wait a minute. That calls for himself in the balls. Oops. Yeah, sorry, I got to turn myself down. So I will say the story's too good to say it's not true. And we debunk Snopes' debunction of the story. So I hold fast and true that the guy tased himself in the balls, causing his own heart attack. All right. So that happened. But I digress. See, I'd rather talk about shit like that than what's going on in this country because, frankly, it's frightening. It's terrifying when you think about what happened and what we've learned going forward. Oh, my God. So there was finally a briefing today. We heard we were going to get an official government briefing on what happened last Wednesday. It'll be a week tomorrow. But it was supposed to be the Justice Department and the FBI. So I figured we're going to see Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, and this guy, Jeffrey Rosen, who is the acting attorney general since Billy Barr ran away with his tail between his legs. So, but no, we got neither one of them. There was acting U.S. attorney in D.C. What's his name? I have it written down here somewhere. No, I can't find it. Shoot. Michael Sherwin. His name is Michael Sherwin. Who? I don't know. But he was leading it. And then there was like a guy from the FBI. It wasn't Chris Wray. I don't know who he was. But if you're curious about what they said, so am I. Yeah, no, not really. But here, let me share a little bit with you. All right. So here's Michael Sherwood, acting U.S. attorney for the D.C. region, I guess. There's nobody who's been confirmed by the Senate still in the government. I suppose they're all Trump cronies. So I kind of worry. But anyway, here's a little bit of what Michael Sherwin had to say. I think. Come on. Uh-oh. Why don't you want to play, Michael? Oh, here we go. That's why.
The initial charges we're filing, some of these misdemeanors, these are only the beginning. This is not the end. So what are we looking at downstream here? So in terms of what we're looking at is the initial charges everyone's familiar with, the zip tie guys, the Munchels, and the Brocks that were arrested on the House floor with zip ties rifling through the House floor. People are familiar with online. They see the Barnetts and Johnsons who were literally rifling through Pelosi's office and stealing items, stealing materials, mail, and sometimes even personal mementos. So those are the cases the public's familiar with. They're familiar with those cases because of social media. But what the public isn't familiar with is that the FBI, working with the U.S. attorney's offices across the country, and the crux of those being in D.C., we're looking at significant felony cases tied to sedition and conspiracy. Just yesterday, our office organized a strike force of very senior national security prosecutors and public corruption prosecutors. Their only marching orders from me are to build seditious and conspiracy charges related to the most heinous acts that occurred in the Capitol. And these are significant charges that have felonies with prison terms of up to 20 years. In addition to that, we're looking and taking a priority with cases in which weapons were involved and cases in which destructive devices were involved. As people know through news reports, there were pipe bombs found outside the Capitol. The ATF is working on that. Metro Police is working on that.
As they should.
Working on that to find that individual or individuals who planted those devices. So in addition to just those rogue cases we're looking at, we're going to focus on the most significant charges as a deterrent, because regardless of if it was just a trespass in the Capitol or if someone planted a pipe bomb, you will be charged and you will be found. In addition to that, we've also focused on an emphasis on assaults and batteries on police officers, both federal officers and local MPD officers that were assaulted.
As you should, but did I hear? Maybe I just missed it because I'm scattered. But where was we're going to focus on members of law enforcement, of police forces, fire departments, public works employees around the nation who joined in with this sedition. Because there were a number of them, and we're hearing that police departments around the country are looking to see who of their ranks traveled to DC for this nonsense. And I call it nonsense, but it's not, it's a whole lot more serious than nonsense. Just like an hour ago, the Joint Chiefs of Staff issued a military-wide memo condemning the riot and confirming that Joe Biden will become the next commander-in-chief. In fact, the image that I have a bit is blurry, but I will share it with you because it is that important, because we are at that place in this nation's history where shit's real. This is scary times. Anyway, so it was written by Mike Milley and signed by all the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And it says, the American people have trusted the armed forces of the United States to protect them and the Constitution for almost 250 years. As we have done throughout our history, the U.S. military will obey lawful orders, from civilian leadership, support civil authorities to protect lives and property, ensure public safety in accordance with the law, and remain fully committed to protecting and defending the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Yes, those words are very comforting. Excuse me. I can't, I'm choking on the words, the violent riot in Washington, D.C. Oh my God. It's making me choke. The violent riot in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, 2021 was a direct assault on the U.S. Congress, the Capitol building, and our constitutional process. We mourn the deaths of the 2 Capitol policemen and others connected to these unprecedented events. The second policeman committed suicide. Don't know any of the specifics other than it was a Capitol police officer who was there on Wednesday and went home and killed himself. I wonder what he either did or saw or experienced that made him do that. But you got to know it's all related. We witnessed actions inside the Capitol building that were inconsistent with the rule of law. The rights of freedom of speech and assembly do not give anyone the right to resort to violence, sedition, and insurrection. As service members, we must embody the values and ideals of the nation. We support and defend the Constitution. Any act to disrupt the constitutional process is not only against our traditions, values, and oath, it's against the law. On January 20th, 2021, in accordance with the Constitution, confirmed by the states and the courts and certified by Congress, President-elect Biden will be inaugurated and will become our 46th commander-in-chief. To our men and women deployed and at home, safeguarding our country, stay ready, Keep your eyes on the horizon and remain focused on the mission. We honor your continued service and defense of every American. And it's signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And they issued that military-wide within the last hour. I'm glad they did that because it's really important. And I think a lot of people who are not directly in the White House are trying to reassure the American people that we are going to be okay. So we had the FBI press conference, though without Chris Wray and Jeffrey Rosen, whatever that means, I don't know. And then we had the Joint Chiefs of Staff military-wide memo condemning what happened on Wednesday. And then you have Donald Trump, who is in Alamo, Texas, for some reason I can't figure out, standing in front of a section of his bullshit wall that he spent all our taxpayer dollars on for some reason. And he's there, and I'm not going to play you anything he said. No, I'm not. Instead, yeah. Let me play you a few other words of warning. Christopher Krebs, remember him? He was the guy who Trump fired, who worked at the agency within the government that was actually created by the Trump administration to safeguard us and our elections against foreign interference in the cyber world. Chris Krebs said this was the most secure election in recent memory, that there was no fraud. So Trump fired him. Right. Yeah, because that's what you do. It's like you sweep something under the rug and it goes away. Yeah, fire the guy who said it was safe because you disagree with him based on nothing. Here's Christopher Krebs explaining what this moment was akin to.
Do you see this as the beginning of some larger conflict, or is this the end of a potential conflict?
Anderson, this is the equivalent of ignoring that pain in your chest for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden you have a catastrophic heart attack. We're on the verge of what I fear to be a pretty significant breakdown.
And it's scary, the stuff we're learning. And by the way, that FBI bulletin that I told you about yesterday that talked about what's planned for the coming week between now and the inauguration, armed attacks on every one of the 50 state capitals, plus the inauguration, plus whatever's planned on the 17th and the 20th. I mean, all this stuff is in the works. That was an internal bulletin. That was not supposed to be released to the public, to whomever released it. Thank you, because we deserve to know what's happening. Right. And then yesterday, it happened during the show. We learned that what's his name? The Chad Wolf, the acting Homeland Security Secretary, resigned. We're in the middle of the most turbulent time in probably almost 200 years in the United States. And I get that he's acting, and I get that there are forces saying, you weren't confirmed by the Senate. You've overstayed your welcome. You're not legitimately there. But there's a week left, and we're faced with a major security issue that really is going to require all hands on deck. And what does he do? He quits. He quits. He says because of recent events, not alluding to the riot, but the fact that the quote, ongoing and meritless court rulings regarding the validity of my authority as acting secretary. No, let me make this clear, perfectly clear. Chad Wolf, you are chicken shit. You know you're in way above your head. There's no way that you are capable of coordinating a response to what is being planned against this nation over the coming week. And so you're running away with your tail between your legs. Typical and frankly expected. But, you know, yes, you deserve all the whatever criticism coming your way. Chicken shit piece of crap. So he quits, just as this internal FBI bulletin is warning that armed protests are planned in all 50 states and DC in the days from now leading up to January 20th. But here's the good news. By all accounts, the guy who's going to be replacing him, well, at least temporarily, is the FEMA administrator, a guy named Pete Gaynor, who I understand is a hell of a lot more experienced and better suited to handle the challenges posed given the threat than Chad Wolf. So Chad Wolf, go, be gone, never to be heard from again. Also, one other thing before we move on is that remember how they were saying the reason that they were so unprepared for this violent mass of, well, less than humanity, subhumanity that invaded the Capitol on Wednesday is because they were prepared for a peaceful protest. They didn't know, they didn't expect this. Well, that is
bullshit.
According to a report from HuffPost, Capitol Police warned House Democrats. Oh, that's a different one. Sorry. They were told to expect a war, that it was war coming. This was a different briefing that last night, Capitol Police warned House Democrats last night that there are 3 potentially violent demonstrations planned ahead of the inauguration, including one plot to surround the Capitol and assassinate House Democrats. This is the United States of America. That's not supposed to be happening, right? Lawmakers were reportedly told that the demonstrators plan to encircle the Capitol to block Democrats and non-Trumpist Republicans from entering the building. They'd allow the people loyal to Trump to enter and control the government, but everyone else, they were not going to be allowed in. And they were told on the call that the plot, quote, could involve assassinations. It's just inconceivable. But this is where we are right now. So, yes, I call this Terrifying Tuesday because it is. But there are a few things that we need to, keep our eye on the prize. So something happened this weekend. Maybe it wasn't this week. I don't know when this happened. It was an interview. Bernie Sanders was on CNN with Anderson Cooper. And he was, talking about all the shit that's going on, but also alluding to the fact that things will, in at least some facets of our lives, get a little better. And we learned that Bernie Sanders will be the incoming, or is the incoming budget and finance chairman, right? Yeah. And so there's a guy named Jonathan Mann, who is another one of these creative people on the YouTubes making songs. And he does a song a day. And he took Bernie's statement and set it to music. So here is our song for today. Get ready to sing along because this one's really, really good. All right. You ready? All right. Take it away. Jonathan Mann and Bernie Sanders. You really will. You are going to tap your toes and sing along.
Just be very clear. As the incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee. I remember what happened in 2010. The Democrats controlled the Senate, controlled the White House, controlled the House. Remember that? They had the power. Democrats got them wiped out. Democrats got them wiped out. They did not deliver for the American people. So what we have got to do right now, no ifs, buts, or maybe, is have an aggressive agenda that says we understand. We have to act and act now. They had the power. It's the Democrats, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee. People can't pay their medical bills. People are going deeper into debt. People are facing addiction. Millions of people have lost their jobs. We know you're in pain. We have to act and act now. We have got to be bold. They had the power. It's the Democrats, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, 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 incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee. Let me just be very clear. As the incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, incoming chairman, Senate Budget Committee, incoming chairman.
When you're doing this, consider a monthly subscription. Give when you can. Just visit Nicole Sandler.